already. I cannot believe we're in mid-August
I
already.
know. Kids are back to school. Everything's going
Going back to
on.
school, yeah. Football season is starting to kick off, and then we've got the Labor Day holiday, and then we're into fall, and before we know it, it's the holidays, and
let's not go there.
So let's not go there, right? Just kind of hang out and enjoy as best we can.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today, so
Yeah.
we're gonna jump into our recap and then just show what we talked about last week and then what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of things we want to show you today. You saw underneath the camera here, there's a bunch of stuff so we're going to try to get through this as quick as we can. But again, this is stuff that we've done. And we're just going to make this one a little bit different today. So we are going to talk about, first of all, simple substitution to fight inflammation. We know inflammation is critical aspect to our overall health. We have too much of the bad inflammation, not acute inflammation, but bad.
We need inflammation to fight. If you cut yourself, to fight acute infections and all that injury. That type of acute inflammation saves our lives. Chronic inflammation shortens our lives.
Yeah. So we know that nutrition really is the key.
That low level chronic inflammation is the cause of so many different things.
Yeah. And as we say each week, this is just research that we have done because we both love to do research, and then we put into practice ourselves. It works for us. We encourage you to do your own research. But again, we're both in our 50s and we're a high school weight because we deserve all the great things the world has to offer, as do you. So that is why we want to share this information today with a little show and tell, actually, all the stuff we have. So here's something we're going to show you guys in a minute. And that little gizmo right there is
super inexpensive.
And
it gets a lot of use.
It gets a lot of use. I mean, it's so fast too. So let's see. Recap last week. We showed you guys some outdoor workout exercises that we do. This happens to be a nice little park where we are staying, and we went through the different ones like modified press ups or push ups, but modified.
Just some things you can do. I know getting your strength training in, getting those runs in, all that stuff takes a lot of time. So this is some way to kind of maybe mix up one of your runs. Add in a little strength training. You can modify these, make them harder if you need to with body weight. So there's a lot of things that you can do with body weight. Like I said, you can get them in with an easy run and get, two birds with one stone there.
Yeah, again, it's the key thing that we have learned and kind of relearned, so to speak, is it doesn't take much to notice some changes when you start doing some exercises. And that's what ties into today with the nutrition.
Exactly.
It does not take much. It's some simple substitutions, which we have, again, it's worked for us, right? So the reason that we've made these substitutions is because, again, chronic inflammation leads to many diseases. There's dozens of studies and documentation on how it has a contributing factor to heart disease.
These are all, have a main component of chronic inflammation. We know heart disease, we know diabetes, type 2 diabetes, not type 1. 95% of diabetes is type 2 diabetes, not type 1. So many cancers, obesity, arthritis, dementia, there's tons of things that, things popping up there, that we know contribute to it. And we can see the results of it. Over 1 million people a year die of metabolic diseases. We have 600,000 people dying of heart disease every year. 300,000+ dying of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which is 100% a nutritional disease. These are things that we can absolutely mitigate.
Right. And again, this is going to impact your running, right? We think about this. Running, as we've said before, is the vehicle we use that we love to use to keep our health, keep us stronger, to clear our head, all those things we always talk about. And the nutrition is a piece of that, right?
Now, running is an acute inflammation that we need to spark growth. That type of thing is what you need. Now, doing that to your body, and then eating a bunch of crap food on top of it, and stressing out all day at work and all that, that's what the body can't handle.
Yeah, and
it can't handle all of that.
Yeah, you're back and forth. And in the past, my mindset was, well, I enjoy running, but I can then eat whatever I want to eat. And that was just a bad recipe for a disaster.
No, and it's not about sure, weight is part of it, and being a healthy weight
Yeah.
for whoever it is. It doesn't, whatever that is for you. Healthy comes in all different sizes. We realize that, but it's not what you can get away with. It's not that. It's optimizing your body for the amazing things that it can do, giving it the nutrition, the minerals, the vitamins that it needs to function, because we're asking it to do a lot of work. Running is hard on our body. Strength training, all these things are things that we need. These are good stresses on our body that we need to create positive change, stronger bones, stronger, muscles, more muscle. The more muscle you have later in life, 100% contributes to your mortality. So this is not stuff that, I'm thin and I can eat whatever I want and I get away with it. But are you sleeping good? Are you feeling good? Or are you at 2:00 in the afternoon having to pound 2 more cups of coffee or whatever it is, or you eat and then 2 hours later you're starving, or you're thinking about food, or you're obsessing about food all day? This comes from eating foods that are not nourishing your body. So
yeah, exactly. So now we want to go into actually. So, just real quick. Again, we have so much we want to get through here. But again, over 50% of the deaths worldwide have attributed to chronic inflammation. If you think about that,
that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And you take away the stuff we've been dealing with the last couple of years, that this has always been the case for the last, I don't know how many decades now. And that's not going away.
I mean,
since we started changing the foods.
We unfortunately, the U.S. started it because we're the ones who mass produce food.
Yeah.
And then we started spreading it. So the people that had, a lot of countries that had really healthy food and that have adopted our Western diets, and it's really changing them for the worse. So
unfortunately.
It is unfortunate. But the seed oils are something, they call them vegetable oils, canola oil, sunflower oil, all these, they sound, there's not a vegetable that's involved in this. I don't know why. Vegetable just sounds better than seed oil, but it's actually a seed. It's not coming from broccoli. It's not coming from zucchini. It's coming from a seed. And the process that it takes to get the oil out of that seed is extensive, chemically laden, and the amount of heat, the amount of chemicals, and the processing that has to happen is tremendous.
It is jaw-dropping when you see that process. Now, in one hand, it's incredible that the technology has allowed them to do that. But when you think about the amount of chemicals that have to be induced in the process to get oil out of a seed,
it's not good.
It's not good for you. It's the bottom line.
And it started back when they had too much cottonseed and they didn't know what to do with it. And they used to use it for kerosene. They used to use it for like lighting your home back then before electricity. Then they decided to turn it into food and feed it to you.
Yeah. Extraction. All right.
Yeah,
so let's go into some of the stuff that we're showing.
So what should you?
The number one thing.
I use olive oil and avocado oil. Now, if you believe in smoke points, that is a thing. Some people believe the polyphenols that are in olive oil, you can have it at a higher temperature. Avocado oil has a high smoke point, so I cook higher temperatures. If you choose to do that, some people don't choose to heat their stuff. There's research to show not heating anything over medium heat anyways. So if you do that, then olive oil would be good. But avocado oil is healthy oil to use.
Good.
And know that not olive oil is the same. You need to go to about, it's the, about oliveoil.com. If you Google how to certify olive oil, I just pulled it up the other day. But there's a National Society of Olives, and they have a whole list of ones that are actually what they say, because they went through, tested about 20 of them, and only almost all of them failed, except for 5. So they realized what it says on the label wasn't necessarily what's in it. So once again, do a little more research, do your testing, but they have a whole list of this. This is the one that we like. Tastes really, really good. But for your cooking, Keep it simple. If you've got canola oil in there, if you've got sunflower oil in there, I would treat that as I treat it as I treat it as poison.
Yeah.
So I don't, I would get it out of your house. But that's the research I've done. That is what we believe from the research that we've done. Do your own research, but there's a lot of evidence behind that.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a whole wealth of things. Added sugar. Now they changed labels recently. They have to tell you how much added sugar is in something. So that is good. That is one of the changes that they made that in labeling that really gives you more information so you can make healthier choices. Added sugar in a lot of the products, when you start to see that, you're like, whoa. Yogurt's one of the craziest
Yogurt is one
things.
Of the biggest ones, yeah.
We know fermented foods are anti-inflammatory. If you like kefir, kimchi, there's a ton of fermented foods. I'm not a huge fan of fermented foods. I don't like sauerkraut. I don't like kimchi. I don't like those things. But yogurt is one of the ones that I'm like, okay, it's palatable for me. But you need to get plain Greek yogurt. If you get the boring one, it doesn't have any color to it. They really don't want you to look at it. But the ones that have all the fruit and all that on there, if you flip it over there, it's going to have 9 grams of added sugar to it. Don't need that. Sugar is super inflammatory, just like the seed oils. Those are the 2 main culprits, I believe, that are a big cause of chronic inflammation. So does plain Greek yogurt taste good? Not so much. It's
probably not
sour.
so much. But substitution.
I put a little trivia in it, and I put my organic. We know berries, really anti-inflammatory. Blueberries, blackberries are probably 2 of the top ones. I like blueberries better, so I get blueberries.
You can get those at any grocery store. Even the other day, I bought those at Target, the grocery, the super.
To get
Target.
the organic, you want organic. They spray the crap out of berries. These are the things that you're going to pay more for, but please, you want it. You still have to wash it, but these have tons and tons of chemicals on them, or whatever, or pesticides on them, so they don't get eaten. So if it says it's organic, they have to go through certifications to do that. So it's worth it. So trivia, Greek yogurt, blueberries. That way you have the sweetness, you don't have the added sugar for that. And you have your fermented things that helps with anti-inflammation. We choose not to eat grains. Whole grains they're not what they used to be. We haven't had whole grains. Once they re-engineered wheat and did all the things that they've done, I don't believe it's a healthy food at all. Even though whole grains, they tout it all over the place as being healthy. It has a lot of lectin in it. It has a lot of things that we have gluten allergies. We have gluten sensitivities. We have celiac disease, IBS. A lot of people cannot handle this stuff because this is not what ancient grains were. They completely changed it. So our body was not used to, digesting this. And you can see there's a ton of people that have digestive issues. It's a huge thing. So we chose just not to eat them.
Yep.
But spaghetti was a huge thing that I absolutely love. So now
especially as runners, right?
Now I make zoodles.
Zoodles, right? So simple.
That is my spaghetti. It takes
less than 15
seconds.
Yeah, that is just crazy.
To spiralize this, you get
with
that.
The zucchini. This will be the output.
Yep. And you saute it for like 3 to 5 minutes. I like it because it has a little bit of a crunch to it. But I put my tomato sauce. Another thing that has a ton of added sugar. But
traditional ragu, all that stuff. Ugh, lots of sugar. Look at the label.
Now we know, because they have to tell us now how much added sugar it has, and you'll be shocked at how much sugar is added to some of these. Rayo's is one of the ones that doesn't have any added sugar. Tomatoes naturally have sugar, but has the lowest, nothing added except for the actual ingredients that are in there. So that's what you want to look for. The added sugar, no added sugar. So I make this with my meat sauce. and it's really good.
And then we will add some meat to it. And then we've talked about this before as well. I took it out of the freezer, so it's actually steaming up here. But this is local here in Florida. It is grass-fed and grass-finished. That's the key word there. Nobody looks for that.
All cows eat grass. It's what happens in their last 6 months, and that really changes the profile. If they're part of the industrial feedlots, if they're part of the conventional part of mass-producing food like we do, it's a shame. So they will be grass-fed all the way up till their last 6 months, their last 3 months. It's what happens in those last couple of months that matter. And what they do to fatten them up. Another reason why I don't think anyone should be eating grains, because you know what they do to make cattle bigger, to make pigs bigger, to make all these animals bigger so they have more of them, is grains.
Yeah.
So
it fattens them up, and that's why
fattens them up. So we don't need to eat them. But it also changes their profile. We know it makes more omega-6s or the inflammatory fatty acids. When you change that profile, it's supposed to be a 1-to-1. Omega-3s are the good ones that we need. You do need omega-6s are essential, but we need about a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, and the problem is that the ratio is so out of whack nowadays because of the food, right?
Because of all of these soybean, those are all omega-6s. All those oils being put into all this food, we literally went from a 1-to-1 ratio, omega-3 to omega-6, to 30-to-1, 50-to-1. And that has been the gigantic difference of how we eat and like I said, the statistics show that it's we're not doing well with it.
Yeah, and then that leads to the inflammation, right? So again, for like the spaghetti, we'll do this. Literally, this takes less than a minute to take it on a spiralizer with some zucchini. We'll saute this a little bit with some avocado oil. We'll brown some meat up or take some meat and then mix some sauce in there. We have our spaghetti. I mean, it's just a substitution. You'll be shocked. Just try it. I encourage you to try it to see the difference in the taste. I mean, you'll be surprised. You'll be very surprised.
Another thing, if you like mayonnaise, look at any jar of mayonnaise. The first thing is going to be soybean oil.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
You can get now avocado oil. Do not look at Kraft. Kraft will say, or Hellman's will have olive oil added here, or avocado oil
added, right?
Added. They still have all the soybean oil they just add. So that's one of those things you have to look at the actual label. It has to be 100%.
Right. We did a whole session on that. We're going to do another one again because that was a long time ago. And we'll get some better examples.
At Costco now.
Yep.
So the main ingredients, instead of being soybean oil, is avocado oil. There's no seed oil in this. So it is a healthier. We know saturated fat doesn't raise your cholesterol, doesn't do it for heart disease. It's been shown. There's people that probably never believe that. But I've done the research and I know what I know, and that's what I believe. So
again, that's what we do. You do your own research.
But this is one thing. It tastes a little different. I think it tastes better. So that is another thing I do. If you use mayonnaise,
you like
avocado oil, mayonnaise, make sure look at the label and make sure it actually says avocado oil on it and not
any kind of soybean oil like that. Just ignore, move on.
Yeah. Another thing we've talked about that. If you're going to eat pork, chicken, eggs, and all that, they need to be pasture raised. What do they do if they're not allowed when they're caged? They are fed grains that they're not normally supposed to eat. They're supposed to be out foraging. Cows are supposed to be out on the pasture. Pigs, they're supposed to be out on the pasture eating what they're supposed to be naturally eating.
They need vitamin D as well, right? So that's another reason you want them outside.
You can always tell pasture raised eggs are going to be that dark orangey.
Yep.
So
it's fascinating to see the difference.
Another way to eliminate getting those unhealthy ratios of omega-6 is always having pasture raised pork, chicken, and having grass-fed and finished beef.
Yep.
So another thing too, we need our omega-3s. Omega-3s are they're healthy, they're antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, really good for us. Fatty, cold water fish are the best things for that. So salmon is a good thing. This is something easy. I make, oh, that's right. I forgot to get my almond flour. But make it with that. Wild Planet is one. It's certified sustainable. There's a lot of bad practices that go on with fishing and all that, so we always want to support people that are doing the right things. So they Wild Planet is one of the ones that have the certifications. They do the pole, they don't do the net catching. There's a whole process to all that. We won't go into that.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay more for this? Yes. Is it sustainably better? People always support people that are doing what they should be doing. These are things that we need to eat, but eating it in a responsible way is what's our mission now is for the food that we do eat.
Right, that's what we choose here to
do. Wild Planet, you can find that in Target. You can find that
any grocery store, pretty much any grocery store. Kroger, all those different types will have that. Ralph's, everything
is going to be more
expensive.
In the
country. Yeah,
it is going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
Another huge thing that has all of your dressings are going to have the first ingredients going to be soybean oil. So if you use a lot of dressings, when my sister and brother-in-law, when I was, they drowned. I got them eating, salads and all that, but they put a lot on there, not even knowing what soybean oil, not even paying attention that was not on their radar. Not good. And so I made theirs. You can make dressings really easily. If you don't want to do that, Primal Kitchen is one that you can find in the grocery stores. Yes, you're going to pay more money for it. Much healthier, better ingredients. So if you're going to eat it, it's just worth it. I mean, these are the things when you add between the mayonnaise, between the dressings, between if you're eating any boxed, hopefully you're not eating boxed processed food. All of these things we're getting those ratios from 20, 30 to 50 to 1 because people are not eating the salmon. They're not eating, the omega-3s that they need to be. So
too many omega-6 is the bottom line.
We're severely at a ratio.
So yeah, it's a little bit more expensive for that avocado oil salad dressing, but it's, again, think about it. Is it worth it to keep that inflammation down? It's a question you have to answer for yourselves. We choose to spend that little bit of extra for things like that.
Butter. Grass-fed and finished butter.
Yeah.
Kerrygold is the best.
It's the best one for that. You can get that anywhere. Kerrygold, yeah.
If it's anything that has olive oil added to it is not going to be the olive oil, that true olive oil, because what they do to be a little bit shady about it, they'll say it's olive oil, but they'll have it half mixed with seed oils. They can get away with it because it's still part olive oil. That's why you have to look at the certifications.
Yeah.
They actually certify whether it's actual true olive oil. So don't look at labels. When they say a regular thing of butter that has olive oil added to it, it's not going to be true olive oil. Yeah. So just these little things. Green, we know dark leafy green vegetables are super antioxidants. The kale, the Swiss chard, the mixed greens.
So if you're going to have a salad like we do every night?
We have a side salad every night, or we make a big salad.
Sometimes chicken salad.
These need to be organic too, because they pesticides spray the crap out of the stuff. Really need to have those organic, the berries organic. It's just worth it.
Yeah. And then lastly, now again, we choose to eat meat. We know we've got some vegetarians here. That's fine, but make sure you're getting enough protein when you do that, because you're going to be limited in that regards. Any place you live,
you
just have to do some research on that stuff differently. But any place where you live, pretty much everybody watching this is within an hour's drive of getting the right kind of food from a rancher or a local farmer.
Yeah, and most people are, or going to a farmer's market.
Going to a farmer's market
where they can get that.
Yeah.
Florida has a lot of ranchers. Now they're all up north. This is one. Circle C is one of the ranches that has an actual store down here. Super convenient, but it is grass fed. It is grass finished. They are ethically raising the animals. They're doing it in a way. Regenerative farming is the key to cows are not destroying our climate. It's not the cows.
We did that whole interview with the girls when we were in Texas and Austin, and they educated us saying that the CO2 that you hear in the news, that recycles every 7 years, where cars are thousands and thousands of years. Just think about that for a second. Anyway,
no, it is. Yeah,
it is ridiculous.
That's a whole different thing. But you're going to pay more. But if like I said, we choose to eat meat. We don't eat it all the time because it is really expensive. But if you are going to eat it, I want to make sure that the animals are raised in a way that honor them. Yeah. They are out to pasture the whole time. They are low stressed animals. They are, all these things matter. How the animals that you are eating, how they are treated and what they eat matters. Yeah,
there's the stress level. Again, the girls educated that for us. Their stress level will go up dramatically if they're in an environment where they're not out naturally roaming and eating grass all the time to the finish. That's such a critical thing. Yeah. And that's why you have to look at the labels. Again, we'll do another whole session on just labels because it is staggering when you really understand how to read one. We've both gone through this. Mm-hmm. And it's been eye-opening. And then again, we've now chosen to eat the foods, and now we're our high school weight, right? It just helps. Yeah.
Other great things that you can have cooking. There's so many spices that you can use. We know ginger, we know cloves, we know turmeric, rosemary. Those are all spices. If you love Indian food, great spices that go with those type of foods. If you like mushrooms are very antioxidant. I'm not the biggest mushroom fan, so I don't eat a lot of them, but shiitake mushrooms and the reishi mushrooms, really high antioxidant properties. If you like green tea, or matcha green tea is another huge thing. There's things that you can add in to your normal thing into your cooking. Spices are an easy way to add anti-inflammatory components into your thing. Like I said, I don't eat potatoes or sweet potatoes, not because of the oxalates that are in them. That's the research I've done. That's how I feel. What I do is I substitute cauliflower. I make cauliflower mashed potatoes. I make cauliflower fried rice. I've risotto, anything that I would have normally had potato wise, I substitute with organic cauliflower, which Costco now has too. The frozen big bag of organic.
We have in the freezer over there. Right. The gigantic bags that are steamable, and that's awesome. It's so easy,
and
right in the microwave.
Makes it super convenient. I saute it up with my olive oil or my avocado oil, and add other ingredients, and it comes out, like I said, it's the difference. I mean, I've gotten so used to it that that taste I don't even notice the difference. When I use fresh cauliflower, I had a cauliflower and put it in the food processor with a little bit of cream and butter and salt and pepper. Whip that up, and I've
challenged you to see how much difference it really tastes.
It is pretty darn close.
Yeah.
So for the benefit that it has, for the health that it has,
we choose to make those decisions at that point.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because we want to. The bottom line is, as we were saying, we say all the time, is we want to keep our inflammation down. Absolutely. Not only for health reasons, but we want to keep running, right? And that's because we can overcome anything, as can you. Yeah. You really can, guys.
So, like I said, this is what we've done. These are just easy things that are part of, what we eat. If you're gonna eat it, try to do. If your budget, do whatever your budget will allow you to do.
Right, and do your own research and all this stuff, because we want you guys to make sure. First of all, you have a great Saturday because you deserve it. You guys absolutely do. We love and appreciate each one of you guys for being part of this group, because we want to make sure that you never lose your love for running. So anyway, today was a little bit longer.
I know we had a lot to go over, but I think it's super important. Yeah. Hopefully you can take some of those things. If you want some of the recipes, I make some great tikka masala and a lot of really good recipes. So you can always message us if you want any more information on anything like that.
Again, if you guys want any help in that area, if you even want us to look at what you're consuming and give you some guidelines on what we would do if this was us, go ahead and set up a time, just put a comment or just send us a DM directly. Either one of us is fine. And we're more than willing to do that. No cost for that. We'll just go ahead and sit down with you guys and walk through that. And I think I guarantee you're going to learn something, because I know we always do when we have calls like that. So we love it. So,
but nutrition is the key to it. It's what's going to keep us running healthy, keep that inflammation down, and keep us running into our 60s, 70s, 80s, and
as long as we can,
and keep us mobile. But happy Saturday. Hope you have an awesome one, and we'll talk next week.
See you guys. Thanks.